Do you think your grey hair is just dull by nature? Nope. It's probably one of these 10 mistakes you didn't even know you were making. These small habits can quietly steal the softness, shine, and beauty from your grey without you even noticing. But don't worry, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to turn things around and keep your grey hair looking soft, radiant, and flattering, all without spending a fortune at the salon. Let's get into it. First up, let's start with something that affects the tone of your grey hair. The first mistake you're making is skipping purple shampoo. As we age and our hair naturally turns grey, it doesn't just lose pigment. It also tends to lose that youthful shine and softness we once took for granted. Over the years, little things like sun exposure, heat styling, and even something as simple as the minerals in our tap water can all build up and cause our grey or white hair to develop a dull, yellowish tint. And let's be honest, that yellow cast has a sneaky way of making us look older or more tired than we really feel. This is where purple shampoo becomes a real game changer. It's not just for blondes, it's even far from it. In fact, it can do wonders for brightening grey and white hair. The violet pigments in purple shampoo work almost like a colour corrector, gently neutralising those brassy or yellow tones and helping your natural silver or white shine through again. When used correctly, it gives your hair that soft, luminous, almost pearly finish that looks fresh, clean, and vibrant. The key is not to overdo it. Think of purple shampoo as a little tune-up for your hair, not something you use every day. Once a week is often enough to keep those cool tones intact without accidentally giving your hair a bluish or lavender hue. Follow it up with a moisturizing conditioner, especially if your hair is on the dry side. It's such a simple addition to your routine, but the results can be dramatic. That brighter, crisper tone instantly lifts your look and makes grey hair feel more intentional, like a style choice, not a compromise. Now that we've handled tone, let's move into something that could be doing more harm than good. Using hash hair dyes. Colouring is something many of us have done for decades, whether it was to cover those first stubborn greys, to try a new shade for a boost of confidence, or simply because it became part of our regular beauty routine. For years, it worked just fine, but once your hair starts turning fully grey or white, everything changes. Grey hair is a completely different texture. It tends to be drier, coarser, and more fragile than the hair you had in your 30s or 40s. It doesn't take colour the same way, and it doesn't bounce back from damage as easily. Box dyes, especially the traditional ones filled with ammonia and heavy-duty chemicals, can really do a number on grey hair. What might have left your hair shiny and rich before can now leave it looking flat, brittle, or oddly patchy. That's because grey hair is more porous. It can soak up too much dye in some areas and reject it in others, which means you're more likely to end up with uneven tones or even a weird dull cast that doesn't flatter your features. If you still love colouring your hair, and many women do, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But now is the time to be more selective and kind to your strands. Instead of full-on permanent dyes, consider semi-permanent glosses, toners, or even colour-depositing conditioners. These products are far gentler and designed to either blend greys in beautifully or add subtle depth without compromising your hair's health. You might be surprised how much softer and more dimensional your hair can look with just a few tweaks. It also helps to consult a stylist who has experience working with grey or mature hair. They'll know how to handle the texture, how to choose the right tone for your skin, and how to avoid the dreaded helmet hair effect some dyes can create. And always read those labels. Always try to look for options that are ammonia-free, low in peroxide, and packed with conditioning ingredients. A little extra care goes a long way when it comes to keeping your grey hair, coloured or not, looking fresh, healthy, and full of life. And as we have touched on how you colour your hair, let's shift to something that often gets overlooked, but makes a huge difference in how your grey feels. The third mistake on the list is neglecting moisture. This is one of those things that creeps up slowly, almost without you noticing. At first, your hair just feels a little drier than usual, maybe a bit more frizz, a little less shine. Then one day, almost out of nowhere, it's coarse, brittle, and harder to style. Your favorite products stop working, your usual routine falls flat, and suddenly your hair no longer behaves the way it used to. It's frustrating, and it can feel like you're constantly battling with your own reflection. The truth is, grey hair isn't just about colour, but it's about chemistry. As we age, our scalps produce less sebum, the natural oil that once kept our strands supple and glossy. On top of that, hormonal changes, environmental stresses, and the complete absence of melanin all contribute to a dramatic shift in texture. What this means is simple. Your hair needs more help than it used to. More moisture, more protection, more intention. If you're still using the same lightweight conditioner you relied on in your 40s, or worse, skipping conditioner altogether, your hair is likely paying the price. Without proper hydration, grey hair turns wiry, frizzy, and dull. It loses its softness and its shape. It won't hold a style the same way, and even brushing it can feel like a chore. It stops moving the way hair should, the light, touchable, full of life. Instead, it starts to feel stiff and uncooperative. But the good news, this is totally fixable. The key is making moisture a non-negotiable part of your hair care routine and not just an occasional treat. Use a rich, creamy conditioner every single time you wash your hair. Even if you think your strands don't need it, they do. Look for formulas packed with nourishing ingredients like argan oil, coconut oil, shea butter, and hyaluronic acid. These don't just sit on the surface, but they actually penetrate the hair shaft to replenish what's missing. And once a week, go deeper. Treat your hair to a hydrating mask or treatment, which is something that goes beyond the daily basics. Let it sit for 10 to 20 minutes while you unwind, then rinse it out and feel the difference. Softer, smoother, easier to detangle, and far more manageable. Over time, you'll notice your grey hair becoming less rebellious and more responsive. It starts to feel like your hair again, only more elegant, more refined, and a whole lot healthier. Now that we've got your hair feeling softer and healthier, let's move on to skipping regular trims on your ends, because they play a much bigger role in how your hair looks than most people realise. Even the healthiest grey hair can start to look tired and unkempt when the ends are neglected. It's that dry, frayed look at the bottom that makes everything feel messier. Even if the rest of your hair is soft and shiny, the split ends steal the spotlight. Suddenly, your hair looks shapeless, uneven, and a little less cared for, no matter how much effort you put into styling. A lot of women hesitate to trim regularly, especially when they're trying to grow their hair out. It feels counterintuitive, like taking 2 steps back when you're desperate to move forward. But the reality is, skipping trims doesn't help your hair grow faster or longer. It just helps it look more damaged for longer. When split ends are left unchecked, they don't just sit quietly at the tips. They travel upward, weakening the entire strand and leading to breakage higher up the shaft. That's when you start to notice your hair getting thinner, more fragile, and losing that clean, intentional shape you started with. And here's the thing. Grey hair is already more prone to breakage. It tends to be drier, more brittle, and less elastic than pigmented hair. That makes regular trims even more important, not just for aesthetics, but for strength, structure, and overall hair health. By cutting off even a tiny amount every 6 to 8 weeks, you stop damage in its tracks and preserve the integrity of your hair from root to tip. Trimming doesn't have to mean a drastic change. Even a subtle dusting of the ends can dramatically improve the way your hair looks and behaves. You'll notice it feels smoother, styles more easily, and holds shape better. That clean, crisp edge instantly makes your hair look fresher, more voluminous, and more polished. It's one of the simplest ways to breathe new life into your look without needing to change your cut, color, or routine. A well-maintained edge quietly says, "I take care of myself," and that energy never goes out of style. Speaking of clean and polished, let's talk about something that can dull your grey faster than you would think. You guessed it right, overusing hot tools. Heat is one of those things most of us have relied on for years. A blow dryer in the morning, a quick run through with a flat iron before heading out the door. Maybe some curlers or a hot brush for added volume or a more polished finish. It's part of the routine, and for good reason. It works beautifully and gives you that immediate put-together look. But when your hair turns grey, that same heat can start to do a lot more harm than it used to, even if you're doing everything the same as before. Grey hair is naturally more fragile, it's thinner, less elastic, and significantly more prone to dryness. Unlike pigmented hair, it doesn't retain moisture as easily, and the cuticle layer tends to be rougher. That means when you're constantly applying high heat, especially without any protection, the damage builds up quickly, often faster than you realize. It's not just about dryness anymore. Over time, grey hair can begin to look dull, rough, or take on an unwanted yellow tint, which can be surprisingly hard to reverse. That yellowing is especially common if you use heat daily, if your hot tools are set too high, or if you pair heat with certain styling products that are not formulated for grey or light-coloured hair. So, if you've been noticing that your strands have lost their luster or that they're starting to feel more coarse and brittle, your heat routine might be to blame. The good news? You don't have to give it up entirely, just get smarter with how you use it. Always apply a heat protectant spray, cream or serum before you style. This creates a protective barrier that locks in moisture and reduces direct damage to the hair shaft. Look for heat protectants with hydrating ingredients like glycerin, panthenol or keratin for extra nourishment. And when you can, give your hair a break. Let it air dry on weekends or during your days off. Try heatless curling methods like foam rollers, flexi rods, or braiding damp hair before bed. Sleeping in a silk wrap or using a satin pillowcase can also help reduce frizz and maintain shape. No heat required. You might find that embracing your natural texture opens up a whole new world of low-effort, high-impact looks. The less heat you use, the healthier and shinier your grey hair becomes over time. Now that we've cooled things down a bit, let's talk about another type of heat that most women forget to manage. The sixth mistake on the list is washing with hot water. I know hot water feels comforting, especially in the morning when you're still half asleep, or after a long, exhausting day when you just want to melt the stress away. But that steamy shower you love so much, it can be surprisingly harsh on grey hair, even if the rest of your routine is gentle. When your hair turns grey, it naturally becomes more delicate. It loses some of the protective oils and structural resilience it once had when it was still pigmented. The texture often shifts, becoming coarser or more wiry, and it doesn't retain moisture as well. Hot water only makes all of that worse. It strips the scalp of the little natural oil it still produces, and it roughens up the outer layer of the hair strand, leaving your hair feeling dry, brittle, and harder to manage. If your hair feels parched, stiff, or like it just never quite bounces back after washing, it might not be your shampoo, it could be your water temperature. And here's another catch. If you're using toners, purple shampoo, or gloss treatments to brighten your grey and keep it looking vibrant, hot water is their enemy. It causes those pigments to fade more quickly, which means your silver tones can dull out before the week's even halfway done. The shine you work so hard to maintain? Gone faster than you'd expect. That radiant, icy glow fades into something a bit more flat and lifeless, all because of heat. The good news? A simple switch can make a real difference. Try rinsing your hair with lukewarm water instead of hot. It may not feel as satisfying at first, but it's gentler on your scalp and helps preserve your hair's natural moisture. Lukewarm water smooths the cuticle, reducing frizz and locking in hydration. And if you're up for it, finish with a quick, cool rinse. It helps seal the hair even more, adding shine and strength. It's one of those small but powerful changes that really add up over time. Grey hair might require a bit more care, but it doesn't have to be complicated. Once you figure out what actually supports its unique needs, it becomes much easier to keep it looking soft, luminous, and polished with less effort than you'd think. Let's take a moment to look at what's actually in your bathroom cabinet, because the products you use every week can either support your grey hair or slowly strip the life out of it. If you're still reaching for the same shampoo or conditioner you've used for years, even if it's a tried and true favourite, it might not be doing you any favours anymore. Grey hair behaves differently than pigmented hair. It's usually drier, more porous, and more vulnerable to build-up. And unfortunately, many of the mainstream hair products we grew up with are packed with sulfates, parabens, and silicones. These ingredients might leave your hair feeling clean and shiny at first, but over time, they dry out the hair shaft, weigh it down, and can even leave behind a coating that dulls the natural glow of your silver. Grey hair deserves better. It needs moisture, nourishment, and products that won't fight against its natural texture and tone. Start with a good sulfate-free shampoo that's gentle and formulated specifically for grey or aging hair. These shampoos help maintain brightness without stripping your scalp. Pair it with a conditioner that includes hydrating ingredients like argan oil, jojoba, or keratin, and don't skip out on leave-ins. The lightweight serums or sprays can make a huge difference when it comes to softness and manageability. The right products can completely transform how your grey hair looks and feels. It's not about spending a fortune, it's about choosing formulas that actually understand the needs of mature hair. Now that we've talked about what's going on your hair, let's talk about something you might be doing without even noticing: brushing through it all day. This one might seem harmless, but it makes more of an impact than you'd think. Most of us don't even realize we're doing it. Twirling our hair while we think, tucking it behind the ear over and over, smoothing it down with our hands when we're nervous, or brushing it back out of habit. These little motions may feel soothing, but over time, they quietly work against the health of your grey hair. Grey hair is already more delicate by nature. It doesn't have the same strength or oil balance it once had, which makes it more prone to frizz, breakage, and even thinning. Constantly touching your hair transfers oils from your fingers, disrupts the cuticle layer, and weakens the strands. You might start to notice more flyaways, more frizz, or even an uneven texture that just won't behave no matter how many products you use. One of the easiest ways to preserve the shape and softness of your hair is simply to leave it alone. Try to be mindful of how often your hands go up to your head. Pulling your hair back gently when you're working, cleaning, or watching TV helps you avoid fussing with it throughout the day. And while you're at it, make sure your hair accessories aren't causing friction. Switch out regular elastics for silk scrunchies that won't tug or damage your strands. And at night, sleeping on a silk or satin pillowcase can help reduce breakage and frizz, so you wake up with smoother, softer hair without doing anything extra. These small changes really do add up. Sometimes the best thing you can do for your hair is to leave it be. Now that we've talked about external habits, let's shift inward, because the truth is, healthy hair isn't just about what you apply on the outside. It's about what's happening inside your body too. Hair is one of the first places that reflects a nutritional gap. As we age, our bodies become less efficient at absorbing nutrients, and this can show up in the form of thinning strands, lackluster color, or a texture that feels dry and brittle no matter what conditioner you use. You might be doing everything right in your routine, but if your diet is missing key building blocks, your hair won't thrive. Protein is a big one. Hair is made of keratin, a protein, so if you're not getting enough through your meals, your body won't prioritize sending it to your hair. Healthy fats like omega-3s also play a role by nourishing the scalp and keeping strands soft and supple. Vitamins like B7 or biotin, vitamin E, and iron help with growth, shine, and strength. These are the things that tend to decrease with age. Try incorporating foods like salmon, walnuts, eggs, avocado, spinach, and sweet potatoes. These are all packed with the kinds of nutrients your hair loves. If you find it hard to get everything from food alone, especially with a busy lifestyle or changing appetite, a hair-focused supplement can help fill in the gaps. Just make sure to speak with your doctor before adding anything new. When your body feels supported, your hair does too. It might not happen overnight, but over time, your strands can regain that softness and resilience they once had. After all the products, habits, and routines, sometimes the biggest challenge isn't technical, it's emotional. There's this quiet belief that letting your hair go grey means you've stopped trying, that you've faded into the background or somehow let yourself go. But that couldn't be further from the truth. Grey hair isn't a sign of giving up, but it's a sign of growth, of evolution, of owning your story. It's the kind of beauty that doesn't need to compete for attention because it radiates something deeper, wisdom, elegance, and a quiet confidence that speaks louder than any trend ever could. The problem is, many women over 50 grew up in a time when beauty was defined by youth. Smooth skin, thick hair, no wrinkles. So when the silver strands begin to appear, it can feel like you're losing a part of yourself or like the world is starting to look through you instead of at you. But embracing your natural hair color is not surrendering. It's choosing yourself. It's standing in front of the mirror and seeing not what's gone but what's grown. The years you've lived, the things you've overcome, the resilience, grace, and character that only time can create. Grey hair, when cared for and styled intentionally, can be incredibly striking. It can bring out the natural contours of your face, make your skin tone glow, and give you a sense of personal style that's impossible to replicate. The key is confidence, anchored by a few thoughtful choices. Start with a haircut that works with your texture and flatters your face shape. Don't shy away from layers, lift, or movement. Embrace soft waves, playful tousles, or go full sleek and structured, whatever feels most true to you. Then add something that lights you up. A bright lipstick you never dared to wear in your 30s. A bold accessory that brings out your eyes. A pair of glasses with personality. These little flourishes turn your grey into a signature look, and not something to hide, but something to highlight. So tell me, which of these grey hair mistakes have you caught yourself doing? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. And if this video made you feel more confident about your hair journey, the next one will take it even further.